When Emma spiked a fever of 102, Jack went to the gym. "She's not even your kid, why are you freaking out?" he said, slinging his duffel bag over his shoulder, not even glancing back. But she was my kid. At least, she felt like mine. I was the one who braided her hair, who soothed her when her stomach hurt, who taught her how to write the letter E. I wasn't her biological mother, but I'd been there for everything. When I married Jack, he already had 2 kids, Emma was 4, Lucas was 6. Their mother had moved abroad. And I became the person who filled the silence. I didn't try to replace their mom. I just tried to love them. It wasn't always easy. Lucas had night terrors, only I could calm him. Emma clung to routines, and change scared her. But slowly, brick by brick, we built something real. Emma started calling me Mommy Liv. Lucas asked me to sign his school forms. I packed lunches. Helped with science fair posters. Showed up to every soccer game with sliced oranges and a folding chair. And I was happy. Even when it was hard. Until that one day. I had just stepped into the hallway when I heard Jack on the phone, his voice low, distracted. "Yeah, but she's not their real mom. Just a stepmom. It's convenient, honestly. Just a stepmom." The words hit like a slap. Convenient. Like I was a feature of the household. Like all those midnight fevers and spelling tests and scraped knees were a favor. Not love. I stood there frozen. My heart pounding. He didn't know I'd heard. And I didn't say anything that night. I just tucked Emma in, stroked her hair while she slept, and stared at the ceiling in the dark, asking myself, if I'm not real, then what am I? The next morning, I made pancakes. Heart-shaped, like always. Emma liked hers with strawberries. Lucas liked his plain with extra syrup. I set the plates down and smiled like everything was fine. Jack barely looked up from his phone. Just mumbled, "Thanks," and scrolled. Emma tugged on my sleeve. "Mommy Liv, can I take your scarf for show and tell?" "Of course, sweetie." Lucas chimed in. "You're gonna tell them it's your lucky scarf, right?" Emma nodded, proud. "Because my mom gave it to me." My throat tightened. She didn't say, "Step." She didn't add conditions. She just said Mom. Jack heard. He didn't react. Later that afternoon, while folding laundry, I found one of Lucas's school worksheets tucked in his backpack. It had a fill-in-the-blank sentence. "I admire my ____ because they ____ ... He'd written. "I admire my mom because she always shows up." I sat on the floor and cried. Not because I was sad. But because for the first time, I realized. They saw me. They didn't care about DNA. They cared about who showed up in the rain, in the dark, in the chaos. That night, Jack came home late. No apology. No explanation. Just a complaint about how I'd overcooked the rice. I looked at him and saw something I hadn't seen before. Not just distance. Disrespect. The kind you can't unhear once you've heard it. The kind you can't unfeel once it's soaked in. I started noticing everything. How he never said, "Thank you," when I picked up his dry cleaning. How he rolled his eyes when I asked for help with dishes. How he called my care for the kids overbearing if I ever disagreed with him. And yet, he let me do everything. Until I made one mistake. One tiny thing. Emma forgot her ballet shoes. I rushed to the studio with them, hair in a mess, still in my work blouse. When Jack saw me after, he snapped. "Why can't you keep things organized? You only have one real job around here." Real job. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. Because something in me had shifted. Something deep. And it wasn't rage. It was clarity. I didn't announce the change. There was no big speech, no ultimatum. I just adjusted. I stopped waiting for Jack to come home for dinner. If he was late, the kids and I ate without him. No drama. Just a new normal. I stopped picking up his dry cleaning. Stopped covering for him when he forgot Emma's recital or Lucas's dentist appointment. I started using my maiden name again at work. Tiny things. Small shifts. But every one of them felt like a breath of fresh air. Jack noticed. At first, he joked, "You turning into a rebel now?" Then came the passive-aggressive comments. "You know, it wouldn't kill you to act like we're a team." But I'd played for that team for years. And I'd been the only one actually keeping the score. Meanwhile, the kids, they noticed too. But differently. Emma started crawling into my bed just to talk. About school. About ballet. About which colors made her feel brave. Lucas asked if I could be the one to sign his field trip form. He didn't even ask his dad. One night, while we were watching a movie, Jack came in and sat on the other side of the couch. Emma whispered to me, "Can he go away? It's better when it's just us." I didn't react. But inside, I broke a little. And healed a little, too. Because the kids weren't confused. They knew who showed up. They knew who stayed. One evening, Jack finally snapped. "Why are the kids so attached to you lately? It's like you're trying to steal them from me." I looked at him calmly. "I don't have to steal anything. I'm just here. You're the one who keeps leaving." He stormed out. The door slammed like punctuation at the end of a sentence I wasn't planning to read again. That night, Lucas knocked on my door. He held a crumpled drawing, stick figures holding hands under a crooked sun. "This is us," he said. "You, me, and Em. You're the heart." And in that moment, I knew. It wasn't about what Jack saw in me. It was about what they did. Jack started acting sweet again. Random flowers. Sudden compliments. Dinner reservations he never used to make. I didn't fall for it. He wasn't trying to rebuild. He was trying to reset the narrative, back to when I didn't speak, didn't question, didn't know better. "You've been distant," he said one night. I sipped my tea. "I've been tired." "Of what?" I looked him in the eye. "Of being invisible." He scoffed. "You're being dramatic." There it was. The word that men use when women stop performing. Dramatic. Unstable. Overreacting. I didn't argue. I just stood up, grabbed my notebook from the counter, and walked into the bedroom. That notebook held everything. My plan. My timeline. My new apartment lease. Because while he was busy pretending things were fine, I was building a quiet exit. I'd found a place. Small, warm, close to the kids' school. I'd spoken to a lawyer, nothing aggressive. Just protection. I wasn't taking anything that wasn't mine. Except my dignity. That was coming with me. I waited until the kids were asleep. Then I told him. "I'm moving out next week." He blinked. "What?" "I've already signed the lease." "I'm not asking. I'm informing." "You're taking the kids." His voice sharpened. "They're not objects, Jack. They'll decide." He laughed, bitter. "You think they'll pick you?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I'd already seen the answer in 100 small ways. I left that house a week later. No screaming. No drama. Just Emma's hand in mine. And Lucas trailing behind with his drawing pad. Jack filed a motion within 2 weeks. Unlawful parental interference, the papers said. He wanted full custody, or at least control. I wasn't surprised. Men like Jack don't lose quietly. My lawyer, Sandra, was calm. "He's bluffing. But we'll prepare like he's not." The kids were interviewed by a court-appointed specialist. Private. Gentle. Age-appropriate. I didn't coach them. Didn't prompt. I trusted them. They knew what was real. The court date came faster than expected. Jack showed up in a crisp navy suit, fake concern painted on his face. He talked about structure, stability, what's best for the children. His voice was calm. His hands never shook. But then Emma was called in. She walked in holding her stuffed unicorn and sat on the witness bench like it was story time. The judge smiled gently. Emma, who makes you feel safe? She looked right at me. Mommy Liv does. Always. Then Lucas took the seat. They asked where he wanted to live. He didn't hesitate. With my mom. She shows up. He doesn't. Jack's mouth twitched. But he said nothing. The judge nodded, made notes, and ended the session. 2 weeks later, the decision came. Joint custody, legally. But primary residence with me. Because the court saw what the kids had always known. Love isn't about blood. It's about presence. Jack tried to smile afterward. Tried to say we'd co-parent like adults. I didn't answer. Because I wasn't interested in performing peace. I had what mattered. And they had me. The apartment wasn't fancy. 2 bedrooms. 1 tiny kitchen. No yard. No granite counters. But it was ours. Emma hung her art on the fridge. Lucas claimed the bottom bunk and decorated it with glow-in-the-dark stars. We had pancakes on Fridays. Movie nights on Tuesdays. Socks went missing. Laughter didn't. The first time Lucas called it home, I almost cried. I was folding towels when he walked by and said, "Mom, where's the tape? I want to hang my poster." Mom. No hyphen. No hesitation. Emma started telling people at school. My mom's the one who makes the best grilled cheese. It wasn't perfect. Some nights I felt exhausted down to the bone. Some days, I worried about money, about schedules, about whether I was giving them enough. But they never doubted me. And that made all the difference. Jack texted occasionally. Late pickups. Missed calls. Every message more distant than the last. He saw the kids every other weekend, when he remembered. Sometimes they'd come back quiet, withdrawn. I didn't press. I just wrapped them in softness. In routine. In presence. One evening, Emma crawled into bed beside me and whispered, "You're my real mom. I don't care what anyone says." And I didn't need anything more. No court ruling. No certificate. No apology from Jack. Just that. That quiet truth, spoken from the heart of a child. That's all I ever wanted. 3 years passed. Emma was 9. Lucas was 11. I had more gray hairs, stronger arms, and a laugh line I'd earned. The apartment was still ours. Still loud with life. Still full of love. I had taken a remote job in community development, flexible hours, meaningful work. Our world was small, but solid. One morning, a crumpled flyer appeared in Emma's backpack. Family Heroes Presentation Day. Parents welcome. I smiled. "You want me to come?" She blinked like I'd asked something absurd. Of course. Who else would I bring? The auditorium was packed. Rows of folding chairs. Nervous kids clutching cue cards. I sat near the back, heart thudding. One by one, children spoke about firefighters, doctors, grandparents. Then Emma took the mic. She wore her favorite yellow dress and a lopsided ponytail. "My hero," she said into the mic, "is my mom." Silence. Then she looked right at me. "She's not my mom by DNA. She's my mom because she chose me. Every morning. Every school lunch. Every hard night. When I was scared. When I was sick. When I felt small, she made me feel big again. My mom is my hero because she never left. I felt tears sting, but I didn't let them fall. She finished her speech. The room clapped. Some parents wiped their eyes. She walked off stage like nothing had happened. But for me? Everything had. Because after all the doubts, all the fights, all the silence. That was it. Proof. Not from the courts. Not from Jack. But from the one voice that mattered most. My daughter. The email subject line read. Real Voices, a celebration of everyday motherhood. We'd love for you to speak. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Me? A real voice? I hovered over the reply button for days. What would I say? That I'm not a biological mom? That I never signed an adoption form? That I just showed up over and over again? Then one afternoon, Lucas spotted the draft email on my laptop. You're not gonna do it, he asked. I don't know, I shrugged. I'm not really. He cut me off. You are. You're the reason I know what a mom is. That stopped me cold. You think this is just your story, he said. But it's ours, too. And there are other kids out there who need moms like you. I didn't answer right away. Just stared at my reflection in the screen, tired eyes, steady hands, a face I had finally come to recognize. So I said yes. The night of the event, the room was warm with soft lighting and real stories. I stood behind the podium, notes in hand, but didn't use them. Instead, I said, I'm not here to tell you I got it all right. I'm here to tell you I showed up. That I loved kids who didn't come from my body like they came from my bones. And that sometimes, the title of a mom isn't given. It's earned. Quietly. Over time. In peanut butter sandwiches and science fair glue and whispered goodnights. I paused. They call me mom now. Not because they had to. But because they chose to. And that, to me, means everything. Silence. Then tears. Then applause. Not for the performance. For the truth. And I realized. My voice was never small. It was just waiting for the right moment to rise. It had been over a year since I'd seen Jack. Until one Saturday morning, I opened the door to find him standing there, hands in his pockets, eyes dull, smile forced. Hey, he said. I didn't move. The kids around? They're at a workshop, I answered flatly. He nodded. Awkward silence. Then. I heard about the talk. The motherhood event. I said nothing. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For a lot of things. I crossed my arms. I don't need that anymore. He blinked. You don't? I shook my head. You're not part of this story now. And that's okay. But I'm not looking for a ribbon to tie this up. He sighed, rubbed the back of his neck. I was scared, he mumbled. Of being replaced. You weren't replaced, I said. You stepped back. I just stepped in. More silence. He looked down. They still talk about you like you're magic. I smiled faintly. That's because I showed up when it mattered. He nodded. I guess I didn't. I didn't confirm. I didn't deny. He stepped back toward the stairs. I'm glad they have you, he said quietly. And for the first time in years, I believed he meant it. But I didn't invite him in. Because healing doesn't always mean reopening the door. Sometimes it just means closing it. Gently, firmly, finally. The auditorium was packed. Caps and gowns, proud families, and too many cell phones held in the air. Emma stood in line, nervous and glowing, 17 years old, her name on the honors list, tassel swinging over her shoulder. I sat in the third row, clutching a crumpled tissue and trying to breathe through my heart. When her name was called, she walked across the stage with a steady stride, confident, graceful, unmistakably herself. But then the unexpected happened. After shaking the principal's hand, Emma turned to the mic at center stage. "I just want to say one thing," she said. The room stilled. She looked straight at me. "There's someone here who raised me. Not with genetics, but with every choice she made. She wasn't just a stepmom. She was the only constant I ever had. She's the reason I'm here. She's my mom." Silence. Then applause. No, eruption. My tears weren't quiet. They were full, unstoppable, releasing years of weight. When I stood to meet her off stage, she ran into my arms like she was 5 again. Someone snapped a photo at that moment, our hug, her smile, my tears. It went viral in our town's paper with the caption, "The mother she chose." But the real caption? "The mother who showed up." Later that night, as we ate ice cream on the couch in pajamas, Lucas looked at me and said, "Still think you're just anything?" I laughed. "Not anymore. Because motherhood, in the end, isn't a label. It's a legacy."